Well, hello and welcome to the Ram Show. It is Sunday, April. No, it's not April, is it? Is it April? Yeah,
It is.
April
Been April
15th.
for 15 days.
Okay, so you have to understand that all through elementary school, everything that I did, everything that I learned in Spanish. So that includes my numbers, my letters, days of the week, the calendar months and everything. For a long time, if I wanted to figure out what month it was, I had to do it in Spanish in my head and then translate that month into English.
Okay, fine. I'll give you a break there. But still, why don't you just look in the corner of your screen?
Because again, okay? So it says /15. Again, I'm still not great with the order.
Ugh. Well, you click on it and it will say Sunday, April 15th.
Yeah, I
There
know.
you
Normally I do.
beat that.
Normally I do. Hey, okay, fine. If we're giving each other a hard time about things, what month is it in Spanish, Zach?
Hold on. Let me look that up real fast. Just kidding. I'm not going to look it up.
Abril. That's how you pronounce that. So, April. Anyway.
Well, I learned that today and I'll probably forget within a couple minutes.
Shall we start? Enero, febrero, marzo, abril.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay. Well, okay. You know what? I bet you can get May.
Is it just May?
No. Think
I
about
don't
what?
know.
Think about what?
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it's Mayo.
Yes, Mayo, Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, because that one holiday.
You know what? Okay,
Yeah.
So my mother's
I got
birthday
one.
is on the 5th of May, and because it's Cinco de Mayo, it's always easy to remember.
Yeah, I guess that'll do it.
That reminds me, I should probably get something for her. I have to do that. Okay.
You got a little while for that.
A little bit, so... Ooh, that reminds me. Beginning of, May, I'm gonna be on vacation out of the state without this system, so there may or may not be a show. I'll coordinate that with you, Zach.
Okay, where are you going?
Of all places, Chicago. So, still don't get away from the snow, probably. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
I can't say I hate the snow. I mean, the snow's going away anyway. Well, it is for a while.
Kind of. And then it'll be back on Wednesday.
Oh, no, I was thinking more long term.
Oh,
As in,
maybe.
a month from now, there probably won't be much.
I don't know. It's supposed to be spring right now and there's still snow on the ground.
Yeah, that's true. Well, normally, it's kind of lopsided. Normally, we don't really get much until at least November. So,
Yeah.
goes both ways.
It was kind of like a mild winter, and then now it's starting to get into, all the storms and everything, every week. And it's kind of annoying. But, anyway. Man, foolish me thinking that we could get through a Midwest winter, without getting a bunch of snow. So, anyway.
I don't know why you thought that.
Because
problem.
it had been so mild lately. That's why. But it was too good to be true.
Well, it never stays. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Although we did get thunder snow the other day.
Yeah, that was interesting. I heard lightning. I heard what sort of sounded like rain, although it sounded like quite.
No,
heavy.
it was like freezing.
And
pellets.
I opened my window, and there's ice everywhere. I'm like.
Yeah, it was freezing pellets, freezing
That was
rain.
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Oh, let me tell you about the fun.
I thought to myself, glad I don't have to go anywhere today.
Let me tell you about the fun. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I work at a TV station as a master control operator, so my job is to monitor a bunch of things, right? So one of the things that we have to monitor is the reflected power that's being reflected back at our transmitter tower. If it gets too high, it can actually like fry the transmitter, which is not a very good thing. Luckily, we've got a new one on the way. Anyway, so that'll be a whole another, bundle of fun. Anyway, so the tower, right? We live in the Midwest here. Now they make these awesome things called de-icers, which are supposed to like heat the tower so that all the ice melts. They're pretty cool, but we don't have them on our tower. We had them on an old tower, and then something happened where they didn't get put on the new one, unfortunately. But anyway, so what this means is that our nice tower, that we use for broadcasting our signal is all iced up. Well, what does ice do? It causes the reflected power to basically spike up really high.
Magnifies it, kind of?
Basically, yeah. It's kind of like I don't know, like, all the, like, technical stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we're qualified to talk about this, really, but...
Well, okay.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, I understand a little bit of it. I don't understand, like, the whole theory about what's happening, but the more power you pump out, the more the ice kind of just reflects it back at the tower. Or something like that. But anyway, so the way to combat it is to drop the power of the tower so that we're not broadcasting as high of a power outage, and then that causes the reflected power to drop down, right? So normally we broadcast at about somewhere in the 90 to 95% range. Like that's the percent of power that we're outputting from our tower. Zach, okay. Take a wild guess as to where we are still sitting today.
All right, I'm going to lowball it, and I'm going to say 30.
We're at 10.
Because I feel like the way you said... Oh. I was about to say, I feel like the way you said that made you kind of give me a vibe of, like, it's really low. And I'm like, 30. And then you're 10? Oh. Okay, well. Okay, then.
Well, okay, actually, I take that back. We're at 11 now. We're at 11. So we were able to raise it by 1%.
That's a 10% improvement.
Yeah, compared to where we normally are in the 90s.
No. I mean a 10% improvement from where.
No. What I'm saying overall compared to where we are at 90 normally.
Oh yeah, that's
so somebody, our program director, either saw some messages or got some phone calls from some people. Who are like, yeah, we can't pick up the station. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, because we're not broadcasting at the normal power we normally broadcast at. So anyway, I'm sitting there yesterday looking at all this, right? We've got like a web page that like shows what's happening at the transmitter site where we can monitor all this, right? So spikes in the 200s for reflected power is really bad. I may or may not have seen it hit 350 yesterday.
Ooh, ouch.
Whoops. Well,
and that could maybe be bad.
Anyway, so I'm looking at, I'm seeing 350 and everything like that. But I'm also looking at the radar and I'm seeing freezing rain in the area where our transmitter is. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, that makes sense, So I'm like, okay, let's give it a second and see if it drops, kind of thing. So waiting it out. By the way, I've never really had to deal. Actually, this system was the first time I've ever had to like adjust the power outage for our transmitter. So I didn't know how low I could go, or even whether I needed like permission from the engineers or whatever. So anyway, so I get there, we're sitting at like in the 40s or whatever, and I see it starting to spike into the 200s. So I call the engineer, and I'm like, hey, I wasn't sure, if I'm supposed to call somebody, and engineer's like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and drop it, right? Well, fast forward a little bit, I start seeing it spiking into the 350s, and I'm like, okay. I don't know how low I can actually, drop the power on the transmitter or anything without, like, causing problems. Turns out we can pretty much go all the way down to, like, 1. Keep it above 0. But anyway, I didn't know that at first, so I'm like, okay, we'll give it a few minutes. We'll see, if it goes down or anything like that. So it doesn't. I'm like, well, we'll give it a few more minutes and everything. And it's still doing it. So right as I'm about to call, like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I should probably call, click. and all 4 of my stations went black. I look over at the control panel, and it's sitting at 0.
So let me guess. That's no good.
Yeah, so the main transmitter, like, I don't know exactly what happened, but it basically just, like, wasn't broadcasting anymore. So we were off the air. We had lost the main transmitter at that point. And I'm like, really? Like, right when I was about to call the engineer. So I'm like, well, now I really do have to call the engineer. So call the engineer, and I'm like, yeah, I just lost all 4 stations. And he's like, okay, go turn on the backup transmitter. So run down, go hit the button on the backup transmitter. That thing is fast. Like, I literally hit the button, and as soon as I got back in the room, which is maybe like 50 feet or so, we were already back on the air.
Not bad.
Yeah, so it doesn't take very long, apparently. That thing is loud, though. But anyway, so that was my interesting weekend. And then, yeah, I got there today. Everything was fine today, but we were still broadcasting super low power, so anyway. I'm sure the tower is still all iced up and everything. So once some of that ice drops off, I'm sure we'll be back at our normal power outage, or power output or whatever. But yeah, so
a power outage would not be good.
I think that has happened before one time where, like, the power went out at the transmitter site. That made for some fun times. I mean, there's not much you can really do at that point besides, wait for the power to come back up. So, what's really annoying for the engineers, though, because it's like an hour drive up there from where the station is when a breaker breaks, like, trips.
Oh, yeah, then you gotta drive.
You can drive all the way. You drive up like an hour all the way up there just to go flip a switch and then drive an hour back. Like,
ooh, yeah.
Nothing beats the time, though, where we actually lost power at the station itself. Yeah, that was not fun. Alright, the power just went out here. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're off the air. Actually, okay. I take that back. So, technically, we weren't off the air. So, off the air technically means that the transmitter is off and not transmitting. That's technically off the air. So, we just weren't broadcasting anything. So, we were in black. But anyway, okay. Well, let's get into the show for this week.
Sure.
Let's take a recap real quick back to last week, where we basically exploded on T-Mobile Austria. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember. That was stupid.
So,
ugh, what's wrong with that?
So, if you remember, and if you weren't here, that's okay. Let me. Okay, there we go. So, last week, T-Mobile Austria customers got some terrible security news as a string of unplanned customer service tweets revealed that the company was storing passwords in plain text. Okay, let me ask you something real quick, Zach, here. What is worse, storing the passwords in plain text or broadcasting it basically over Twitter that, yeah, we store passwords in plain text?
I'm going to go with option 1.
Okay.
That's definitely worse.
All right. I guess the thing that I see about this is that, yes, it's bad that your passwords are being stored in plain text, but broadcasting that to the internet, that, hey, T-Mobile Austria, all of our passwords are stored in plain text, like, I feel like that's kind of an invitation to, like, hackers to be like, hi,
see, the reason I said that is because security through obscurity doesn't work anyway.
Well, yeah, we've discussed that multiple times.
Better just not be in that situation in the first place.
That is true.
You're right. They basically just gave anybody who felt like taking a shot an open invitation to steal a bunch of passwords.
Yeah, so for anyone who is not in the cybersecurity like point or like, side of things, and even still, I would hope that common sense would tell you that storing things in plain text is never a good idea. Basically, it's a major violation of basic cybersecurity principles. Would you agree, Zach?
Yes, absolutely.
So, on Tuesday, the company finally came clean And get this, pledge to immediately implement password hashing and crucial protection in the event of breach. Can anybody say PR?
That's a bit of damage control there. Too bad it required them to get called out in order to do anything about it.
Isn't that usually how things work?
Yes, that's not to say that it should be how things usually work.
No. So in the world of how things should be, passwords should be like hashed and, well, yeah, it should be hashed, which is basically like running them through some kind of, it's not like a piece of software or whatever. Basically, it scrambles everything into a bunch of random characters and letters and numbers, and then makes it basically impossible for you to kind of unscramble it. I mean, you can.
It's basically some kind of math operation that is relatively easy to perform, but nearly impossible to reverse.
Unless you have the correct
same thing in
data.
Twice, you're going to get the same result back, but it's extremely difficult to reverse engineer the hashed value into the original value, which is why it works.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you have the right, username, password, yada, 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 it knows, oh, hey, these two things work together. Okay, authenticate. Good, go. But you're right, yeah. So the whole point behind hashing things is that unless you have, like, some, data farm with supercomputers, it's going to take you a really, even if you do, it's still going to take you a really, really, really long time to
Depends on
basically
the algorithm.
unscramble.
Some can be reverse engineered actually alarmingly quickly, but those hashes are usually not used.
That's true. Now there are security practices.
There are more secure hashes that can be used.
Well, and even like, so okay, if you just have a password all lowercase and stuff like that, that is a, shall we, what is it? What do they use? Like a dictionary defined word or whatever, basically, like a common word.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
That's
like, it doesn't take very long for that to be unscrambled. Now you start adding things like capitals and special characters and numbers and things like that. Then it starts to make it a lot harder. The combinations become a lot more. So, well, actually, I don't know if that actually necessarily, at least for brute force attacks, that works really, really well.
Yeah.
So, now, what is a brute force attack, if you don't know? Basically, you just keep trying passwords until something hopefully works. That's what they hope.
That's the idea.
But anyway. So, it sounds like T-Mobile Austria is finally coming to their senses and actually doing something about it. So...
Well, no, they didn't come to their senses. They were brought to their senses.
Okay, thank you. They were brought to their senses.
People.
And now they're like, oh, shoot, we got caught. Now we should probably, secure this stuff. So, yeah. That whole mentality of, we have really great security and nobody's going to hack us because we have really great security? Yeah.
No, not how it works, I'm afraid.
Yeah. We don't participate in that, so again, it's not going to happen to us.
Yeah, we don't participate in getting hacked.
As we said last week,
anyone participates in getting hacked until
as we said last week, I don't think anyone just goes out and says, "Oh, we're gonna get hacked today." So, anyway, all right. The good news is T-Mobile Austria has nothing to do with T-Mobile here in America, and as far as we know, T-Mobile America is doing what they're supposed to be doing. As far as we know.
I sure hope they're not quietly scrambling to get their security up to par as well.
Right.
That would be unfortunate.
Either way, I don't use T-Mobile, so I'm good. So, yeah. Anyway, but okay, this is like, you know what else I've never understood, and I agree with Linus on this. I was watching a video one time. So, you get a router, right? Like a basic home router, which, okay, let's be honest, it's more than a router. If we're
It's
being
kind of all-in-one kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Access point.
Yep.
Kind of a
access
switch,
point,
router.
switch, and a router. So, but for simplicity's sake, people call it a router. So, when in reality, really all a router does is basically routes traffic, hence the name router. So, if you need a more simple explanation, it's kind of like the postman, like the postal service. That's a good analogy, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. Because
it delivers packets where they need to go.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. And then a switch is basically, I always describe switches as kind of like power squids, where you have like the one main like power connection coming in, and then it gives you multiple other places to plug other stuff in, and you can like share the power across things. Kind of the same idea with like a switch where you can also plug one connection in.
It can also manage and segment traffic.
Well, okay, yeah, if you get like a multi-layer switch or whatever like that, so.
No, I'm thinking VLANs.
Yeah, multi-layer.
You can use it to segment traffic.
Yeah, but you have to have like a multi-layer switch to do that, don't you? I think. Yeah.
No.
Well, you have to have a manageable switch. You have to have a manageable switch. So, because not every switch can do that.
Oh, right. Are you talking about a dumb switch?
Well, I don't think that's the actual like technical term, is it?
No, it's definitely not. But I'm thinking just like,
yeah.
Are you referring to a switch?
Yeah.
Doesn't have any configuration. It's just got a bunch of ports.
Yeah. So I actually have like an HP switch in the basement right now on my network. That is a manageable switch, so I can actually set up VLANs if I want on it. But I have no need to right now. So, anyway. And unfortunately, it's only 10100, but it's still fun to play with. So, learning. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Oh, okay, I remember where I was going with this. You ever do that before where you're like, I was going somewhere, and then I totally forgot where I was going with that?
Yep.
So, going back to security now, right? So, you get a home router, right? You take it out of the box, you plug it in, you set it up, right? You type in the IP address, 192.168.1.1, right? What do you normally type in? Admin, password, boom, you're in. I don't understand why the first thing when you set it up in the wizard, I don't understand why it doesn't just make you, like, secure the dashboard. Like, I feel like that should be something that's built in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows?
So, it's astonishing, like, how many places I've gone where I've, like, connected to somebody's Wi-Fi and just typed in the default gateway and, like, admin, password. Hey, I'm in! Now I can start making configurations.
Now I can do pretty much anything I want.
Right? So, anyway. So, if you're watching the show right now, you got a router at home, which I'm sure you do. If you don't have that main dashboard secured, I would highly recommend doing that. Because, like, somebody gets on your network, they can, basically get in there, and once they have access to your router, they can start doing really fun stuff. Yeah. So, anyway.
Fun for them, not you.
Yeah, right. So, okay. Let's talk about something Google's doing that I absolutely love. Let's also talk about something that people don't love. So, Zach, how many times has this happened to you? You're sitting there, your phone starts ringing, you're looking at it. I don't know what number this is, but what the heck, I just decided to answer it this time. Hello, you've been selected for blah, 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 blah. Robot call.
Nope, never happened to me.
Well, that's because you, never answer your phone. But anyway. Robocalls, they're a big deal. Robocalls, spam calls, things like that. So
That's never happened to me because I almost always ignore those.
I almost always ignore them too. My rule of thumb is if I don't recognize the phone number, I usually don't answer. And then my theory is that if it's important enough, they'll leave a message. I'll call them back. So,
that sounds fair.
But spam calls are universally terrible. Can we all agree on that?
Absolutely.
So Google is taking steps to help you ignore them by, get this, automatically sending spam calls to voicemail instead of letting them ring.
Great idea.
I love this idea. So the Google Phone app already flags spam numbers and then basically lights up the screen like bright red. Like, alert, alert, don't answer the phone.
Yeah, but what about those ones that spoof a number that looks familiar to you?
Ooh, see, I don't know how that works.
Neither do I.
But this new spam filtering goes a step further, sending robocalls straight to voicemail without even bothering you with a missed call notification.
I like that.
I like this idea too. Now, of course, this is going to require Google to accurately identify spam calls. And this is where I think they're going to run into some problems and some controversy. Is people saying, well, how can you, not specifically like, the majority of people, but the companies, well, how can you be sure that we're actually not a spam call and things like that? So, I mean, it's a constant cat and mouse game, basically. So, I think that'll be the one thing that needs to be figured out. And they're going to have to be really, really good at it. So, I don't know. Maybe they can work off of, like, reports or whatever, People reporting that this specific number is, a known, like, spam call or whatever. And then by looking at some of those numbers and things like that and collecting data, once it hits, like, a certain threshold, Google can be like, yeah, we're pretty confident that, it's spam. I think that might be the way to go. I don't know.
I think if your number is looking suspicious of spamming people, then what are you doing that's making it look suspicious of spamming people?
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, computer algorithms aren't always perfect, though.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like, really?
Yeah,
there might be something up.
So this new feature should be rolling out worldwide over the next few weeks in Google's default phone app on Android. Now, okay, I have a question about this. Does this mean that, like, all Android phones with the built-in...
Yeah, I have an old phone. I have an S5. It's like 4 years old.
Right? Because, okay, so it says the Google...
Am I going to get this, too?
Well, it says the Google phone app. So is that a separate app? Or... Because, see, that's where I get confused. So up at the top here, it says the Google phone app, but down at the bottom, it says Google's default phone app on Android.
Well, I'll be on the lookout for an update, I guess.
Right? Now, if you have a Pixel, a Nexus, or an Android One device, you're already going to have this feature on your phone right now, I guess. So, other Android users can install it manually through the Play Store. See, now I'm really confused. So, do I need to download the Google phone app, or is... See, I don't know. That's confusing.
I don't know.
That's confusing. Maybe we'll see an update soon, so, like you said. I don't know. Oh, either way, I think this is a great idea. A fabulous idea. Fabulous idea. Wow, I see somebody didn't open the rundown again this week.
What?
How do you expect to follow along with the show if you don't have it open?
The same way I always do.
The whole point is you're supposed to know what's happening during the show so you can follow along a lot better. Just saying. Just saying. So, okay. Let me find the right buttons here. Let's do this. Let's jump into Microsoft news. So, I was looking around this week and I was like, ugh, this is all boring stuff. You sent me an idea, but, I wasn't super... I honestly got bored with it. So I didn't really read through it all that much, and I thought that this was a lot juicier.
Hit me.
So let me open the article here. So this comes from the Hacker News.
Really?
Yep. So a security researcher has disclosed details of an important vulnerability in Microsoft Outlook, for which the company released an incomplete patch this month. Almost. Get this.
Good thing I don't use Outlook.
Right? Almost, get this, 18 months after receiving the responsible disclosure report.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's no good at all. Just gonna go with that.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. So the Microsoft Outlook vulnerability could allow attackers to steal sensitive information, including users' Windows login credentials.
Excuse me?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Windows login credentials. Just by convincing victims to preview an email with Microsoft Outlook without requiring any additional user interaction.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so let's think about, we've all used Outlook before, for the most part. Let's think about how Outlook works, right? All you do is you click on the name of the email, like, you click on the little description of it, and what does it do? It loads it into the preview window. So, and that's apparently all this takes to happen. So, email comes in. Hey, this looks interesting. Click. Oh, crap. Now I've been infected.
Well, yeah, usually you might click on a preview if you're, not sure. Maybe it's something that seems, strange, interesting, out of the ordinary.
Right.
You click on it, preview.
Yeah.
Oh, now you got a virus.
So the vulnerability was discovered by Will Dorman of the CERT Coordination Center. What? Okay, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, so apparently this resides in the way that Microsoft Outlook renders remotely hosted OLE content when in rich text format.
Lost me there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what OLE content. Basically, okay, so it has something to do with OLE, whatever the heck that is, and rich text format. You do know what that is.
Yeah.
Email message is previewed. It automatically initiates SMB connections, whatever the heck those are. So this is.
I've heard that before.
Going a little over my head. Okay. Do you have any idea what they are?
I've heard that before, but I don't remember. I should know this. I don't.
You could ask Mr. Google and get back to us.
I could, but
that actually sounds like a good idea. Please do that, and I'll continue with this.
Why?
Because your system won't crash.
And yours will?
Probably.
Why'd your computer crash? Because I went to Google. Wait, what?
No, because I opened another window, another browser. I don't know. My system's weird. I need a new system. Anyway, so a remote attacker can exploit this vulnerability by sending an RTF email to a target victim containing a remotely hosted image file, OLE object. Okay. Well, that looks like that answers the question of what an OLE object is. Loading from the attacker's controlled SMB server. Okay. So what's an SMB server then?
Yeah, I'll get back to you after I finish my CAPTCHA to go to Google.
What? What do you need a CAPTCHA to go to Google for now?
Because you told me to go to Google.
Yeah, but you shouldn't need a CAPTCHA to go to Google.
It is a network file sharing protocol.
What, SMB?
SMB is a network file sharing protocol.
What does it stand for?
So now you know.
What does it stand for?
Server message block.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Well, since Microsoft Outlook automatically renders OLE content, it will initiate an automatic authentication with the attacker's controlled remote server over SMB protocol using single sign-on, or SSO. Handing over the victim's username and NTLM-v2 hashed versions of the password, potentially allowing the attacker to gain access to the victim's system. Wow, this just sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, this may leak the user's IP address, domain name, username, host name, and password hash. If the user's password is not complex enough, then an attacker may be able to crack the password in a short amount of time using US CERT. Oh, time, the US CERT explains. Okay. If you are thinking, why would your Windows PC automatically hand over your credentials to an attacker's SMB server? Okay, so apparently this is how it works. So SMB authentication mechanism. So in this scenario, it says, "This is Mark. I'd like to log in." So that goes to the SMB server. The SMB server says, "If you are really Mark, then encrypt this challenge with Mark's password hash." Okay. So then your computer says, "Here's the encrypted challenge," and then the SMB server says, "Okay, access granted." Interesting. Okay. So that's apparently how authentication via the server message block protocol works, in combination with the NTLM challenge response authentication mechanism as described in the following image that was above that you can't see. So yeah, anyway.
Neato.
Yeah, Dormer reports the vulnerability to Microsoft in November reported the vulnerability to Microsoft in November of 2016, and in an attempt to patch the issue, the company released an incomplete fix in its April 2018 patch Tuesday update. That's almost 18 months after the reporting. Come on, guys. Really?
No real excuse for that.
No.
Especially that long?
Especially when you think about how many people use. Well, okay, first off, it took them 18 months to release the patch, and the patch is half-baked.
Yeah, like, if you're going to take that long, geez, at least come up with something finished.
Right? It's not like it was a...
better yet, just don't take that long.
Yeah, it's not like the whole, Meltdown and Spectre crisis where, oh, shoot, we need to release a patch right away. Know what I mean? It's like, oh, we should probably release a patch. Oh, okay, 18 months later. Okay, here's something, but it's not complete yet. Like, really, guys? Really? Ay. So, the security patch only prevents Outlook from automatically initiating SMB connections when it previews rich text format emails, but the researcher noted that the fix does not prevent all SMB attacks. Interesting.
Well, I guess it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Come on.
So it is important to realize that even with this patch, a user is still a single click away from falling victim to the types of attacks described above. For example, if an email message has a UNC-style link that begins with // clicking the link initiates an SMB connection to the specified server. Oh, so the age-old click here button, tactic. Oh, hey, now you're
that's the kind of thing that it would be really easy to get somebody who doesn't really know that much about computers, that just uses computers to do basic things.
Especially a cleverly worded, hyperlink in an email.
Yeah. There you go.
Right?
That's simple.
So, if you have already installed the latest Microsoft patch update, that's great, but attackers can still exploit this vulnerability. So, Windows users, especially network administrators at corporates, are advised to follow the below-mentioned steps to mitigate this vulnerability. First, apply the Microsoft update, if you haven't yet. Okay. Block specific ports, so 445 TCP, 137 TCP, and 139 TCP, along with 137 UDP. And 139 UDP. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because TCP and UDP are kind of sort of important for certain things.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Oh, okay, but apparently they're only used for incoming and outgoing SMB sessions. So, if you don't need them, I guess that makes sense. Also block NT LAN Manager. Single sign-on authentication. Okay. Always use complex passwords that cannot be cracked easily. And most important, okay, this one's common sense. At least to us, don't click on links that you don't know where they go.
Yeah, you know, that does sound reasonably smart. You're right.
So, uh, again, though, okay, you have to think about it, okay? Not to offend
Hmm.
anybody right now, but those who don't have as much computer experience as us, because we're studying that and things like that, and we're more technologically advanced than possibly some other people out there. You know, you've got your novices, and then you got your enthusiasts, and then you've got your professionals. Uh, so, to us, it's maybe very common sense. To a novice, it might not be. But in general, if you don't know where a link goes, you probably shouldn't click on it.
Yeah, that does sound like the correct course of action.
So, again, to us, it's just like, well, duh. But to a, like I said, possibly a novice, or, or an average consumer, shall we say, they might look at us like, okay, kind of thing. But yeah, so my advice would be just really make sure you know where that link's going before you click on it. In most cases, you can hover over it and it will tell you where the path is.
Yep,
So
that would
anyway,
be how you do it.
just uh, simple practices to remember and follow and things like that. So that's like how a lot of people have like phishing emails happen where they're like, oh, hey, here's an email. Because it's not the email necessarily that causes the problem. It's
It's
clicking
something
on.
inside the
Yeah, it's
email,
something inside the
like a
email
link.
that you click on, and then you're like, in trouble. So,
Then you're done. So
oh, so you know what else? This like caught up my mother the other day. Luckily, she called me, but she was like surfing the internet like for whatever, I don't know what, and then she got one of those full page pop ups that's like, "Stop! Your computer has a problem with it," with like the message and the flashing buttons and
oh,
things like
that
that.
garbage.
Yeah. So she's like, "What do I do?" I was just like, "Oh." So I had her launch the what was it? Task manager and just end the process in there. It's like don't bother
Yep,
clicking
that'll
on
do it.
anything. Just find the process, click the end process button, blank window goes away. Okay, good. And I was like, don't click on that link again, please. So anyway, but yeah, those are also something to watch out for. Or those wonderful full page messages. Call this number, Microsoft support. So, did I ever tell you we tried to call? I think me and Joe tried to call like quote unquote tech support,
Yeah, you did.
and it failed spectacularly. They caught on to what we were doing. We weren't
Well, they
very
probably
convincing,
they probably deal with a reasonable number of people who try that
right?
stuff.
I had one call me one time though, and I happened to have a virtual machine set up on my system, so I played dumb and then got him into
Oh,
the
I
virtual
think
machine.
I think you told me about that. You had some fun with that guy.
Yeah, yeah. And then he was like, "So, how do you want to do like the payment and everything?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's do a check." He's like, "Okay, I need this, and I need the name of your bank." And at that point, I was just like, "Yeah, well, you're not going to get the name of my bank because it doesn't exist." Um, yeah. So, anyway, and I think I'd had him on the phone for like a good hour at that point. So,
Oh no.
yeah, I just had him in a virtual machine, let him playing around, stuff like that. You know what we really wanted to do? We wanted to have a because we set up Joe's a virtual machine on Joe's system and had like gone into the group policy and disabled like the task manager,
Yeah.
or no, what was it? Well, I think we disabled like being able to open the run command box or something like that because they normally use that. And then I think we also
Oh.
like turned off like the task, like the event viewer too, because those are like the main things that they use. So the idea was just for them to get in there and then like try to do this and like get really stumped and puzzled and be like, "What the heck is going on?" So, because I think that would have been funny to see what they would have done from there. You know what I mean? I was like, that's what
Your
they're.
computer's too broken. We can't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's their go-to of how they normally do it, and we knew that, so we were like, okay, we're just gonna disable these things, and then, like I said, see what happens. So anyway, but Yeah. So, moving on this week. Ooh, okay. You're up, Zach. Ryzen.
For what now?
Ryzen, second
Oh, the
gen.
refresh?
Is this what this is? I didn't read this article.
They're not out yet, so nobody really knows all the details.
No, but you can pre-order.
Yeah, it looks like just basically a refresh. Like the chips are fast, and you got a new chipset. That's about it.
Okay. So, enlighten us. Go. Let's run through some specs here, some numbers that are possibly actually
Well,
real
there's
numbers or not.
let's see, 4 new chips, 16, 8-core 16 thread. Wait. Let's see, 2 8-core 16 thread chips and 2 6-core 12 thread.
Dang.
At the top, they're coming out with the Ryzen 7 2700X for $329. Why does that feel a bit low? I think the top end one last generation was almost 500, but anyway, this one's
I think you're right.
3.7 gigahertz, boosting to 4.3, which is significantly faster, I believe.
Maybe they did
And
well.
that's good, because I remember that was really one of the major things that Intel had them beat at was clocks. And now we're going up to 4.3 on boost. That's pretty
right. This changes the game with me possibly building Redmond. I mean, we're already planning on doing a Ryzen system, but I might be looking at.
Especially if the assuming the performance per clock is very similar, if not slightly better than Generation 1 Ryzen. Yeah, definitely. That's solid. Really faster clock speeds, 8 cores, 16 threads. Yep. Not going to be too bad. And the new X470 chip, adding some feature that will attempt to combine solid state and mechanical drives into a logical drive that is fast. Not sure how that works.
Wait, logical? What's a logical drive?
Like as in, think RAID, right?
Oh, okay,
in RAID, there's multiple drives, but they show up as the one logical drive.
Okay.
You get where I'm coming from?
So it's like basically combining like your SSD and your mechanical drive together?
Yeah, that's what this feature claims to do. It's called AMD Store Me.
Interesting.
And that is a feature that has been announced with the X470 chipset. And no, you do not need to have an X470 board in order to run one of these CPUs, because there's this beautiful thing that Intel needs to learn about called backwards compatibility.
Ah, yes, the backwards compatibility.
Or wait. Hold on. That first statement, I'm not sure about. I might be wrong about that.
Well, okay.
But
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there were BIOS updates that would go out for the older boards so that they could run these CPUs. But it's the same socket. It's the same socket. This X470 is the same socket. No problem.
Okay, so same socket.
Nothing horrible new every single generation. Oh, I need a new CPU.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, might as well build a new.
I thought Intel kept the same socket for like a few generations, and then they decided to switch it.
Well, they generally do, but sometimes, especially recently, there have been some compatibility trouble.
Well, yeah. How do you think they make money?
Yeah.
Ching. It's kind of like all these like cell phone companies now. Ooh, we're not going to include a headphone jack. We're going to put a dongle in the box, and people are going to lose the dongle, and then they're going to buy more. Because we all know you can't find. Because
that's a bad trend.
Yeah, because we all know you can't find the stupid dongle when you're looking for it. Just like, ugh.
Yep, basically that.
And this is why I have the Galaxy S9, because it has a headphone jack on it. Wow, what an amazing concept. Yeah, people still use headphones. with
Almost
with
like
headphone
that,
jacks.
I almost feel like this feature may have existed for a long time.
And
It's slowly
I feel like,
disappearing, and that's I don't know why. I don't know where it's going.
well, okay,
Where's
so
it
like
going?
I can
People just
understand.
quit using headphones? Is that what they think?
Yeah, see,
I don't
okay,
know.
that's the thing. Like, I can understand like laptops no longer having like built-in Ethernet jacks. Not well, actually, okay, fine. That one, I'm a little iffy on. Like, okay, yeah, Wi-Fi is a
No, I
thing.
think that's dumb too.
Okay, yeah, like Wi-Fi is a thing, but sometimes you actually want to be connected. You know, sometimes you need to be connected. Like, if you're a network administrator, like, you know,
Yep.
sometimes you gotta actually be wired in. Oh, and their solution, of course, is buy a dongle. I think that like Joe's laptop, it doesn't have a built-in Ethernet jack. He's got a dongle. It's like
I'd like to take the moment to point out that the Ryzen 5 2600X, which has 6 cores at up to 4.2 gigahertz boost, is only $229 MSRP. That's like i5 price range.
that's
That
pretty
is
cool,
pretty solid.
right? And that's more cores than the i5 has too, isn't it?
It is.
Like AMD's stepping up their game now.
And they are definitely closing the gap on clock speeds. Before, you may have been able to argue that, yeah, well, Intel's got the clock speeds, need to have, but well,
See,
where's that excuse now?
I
I'm
don't
not
know where. Oh, go ahead.
Hmm?
Okay.
Oh no, I was done.
Okay. See, I don't know where like numbers are right now on like Ryzen, but I feel like Ryzen was pretty successful for AMD. And I'm wondering
was.
if that success is now being seen by the refresh here now, by them saying, hey, this is actually pretty, successful for us. Now we can offer these new chips for a lower price.
Well, I suppose I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what kind of like money they made off of it or
Right.
anything, but like just from being kind of in the know a little bit and hearing things that people are talking about sometimes, it does feel like a positive thing for them. At least to me, it feels like
Right.
that people were talking about these, people were saying good things about them, people were recommending them, people were using them, people were not just exclusively saying no, this AMD stuff don't use those CPUs, they're bad.
Yeah, see, for the first time, like, I'm now, like, excited about putting an AMD processor in a system. I'm like,
That and this, I'm looking at these numbers right now. These numbers look awesome.
right? Yeah. Like, okay, I can't.
$329 for the top end one. That's what an i7 will run you. That's what your flagship, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-extreme edition i7 will run
Okay,
you about
and
that.
like, and here's the thing,
And this thing has 8 cores and 16 threads.
right? Okay, so if you've watched the show for a while, you know that I love to give Zach crap whenever I can. I cannot wait to build Redmond with all those cores so I can sit here and be like, oh, hey, Zach, how are you enjoying all the... Oh, yeah, that's right. You only have 4 cores on your system.
Well, the 4 cores actually do a pretty good job, so...
Yeah, but you could be sitting over here with, like, 6 or 8.
I'm actually doing okay, thanks for asking.
It's the fact that I would have the extra cores to be able to use for, other, things going on in the background.
Well, I personally would like to update my system in maybe
hang on.
a year or so.
Hang on. Would you... Okay, let me ask you this. Are you going to do a refresh? Or are you thinking about just totally
Probably
new
a
system?
pretty significant rebuild. I don't know what exactly I would want to reuse yet. Maybe the GPU, yeah, probably could reuse.
Well, I thought you wanted to get a new GPU. I thought that was... Well, you were interested in Vega, and then you found out that Vega wasn't
I found
that
out
great.
it was really just not good. Not good. Power. Oh my gosh, the power use. Oh.
Okay, well, you could
Power use
upgrade to a
was so
1080.
No.
No?
No.
And you got to upgrade to a 1080 Ti?
1080 Ti? Oh no.
Why?
Not now, especially not now.
Okay, yeah, but theoretically you're going to be a year out, so maybe prices
Like
will
seriously,
drop.
there's no point in even thinking about it right now because C&E, right?
I don't know
Like
what the
if you were thinking about building a new computer last year and you were like, yeah, I think I'll get this and this and this, but if things change, I'm willing to change stuff.
Well,
Well,
okay,
a
that's
year
true.
rolls by and then suddenly you've basically changed everything.
That's true. Of course, everyone knows if somebody offered Zach, a 1080 Ti, he'd take it in a flash.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just take a look at the prices and you know why.
Right?
It's difficult to justify buying one
By the way,
a lot of people.
I'm just gonna put this out there. If anyone has a couple extra, Titan Blacks just sitting around that they don't need, that need a new home and they're willing to give them away, I'm sure me and Zach wouldn't mind.
Yeah, dream on.
Oh, man, it must be nice to be like somebody like Linus. Oh, what graphics card should I put in this system?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, maybe one day, maybe. I don't know. That'd be cool. It'd be really cool, but I don't know.
Sure would be.
I feel like we need to boot more content up on the channel. Definitely, we've been slacking this year. So, anyway, I'm really excited about this. I wonder if the other reason some of these prices are lower too, real quick, just to give you something to think about, possibly, is that now that technology has already been figured out, they're just making improvements to it. So
yeah, I think that could be something to do with it. They've been making these chips for more than a year now. They're getting better yields, or I don't know. Just somehow the cost of producing these is going down.
Right. Yeah, an interesting plot twist.
That would not surprise me at all.
And an interesting plot twist. Apple has decided, no, we're not going to build our own chips. We're just going to buy Ryzen chips now.
What the heck?
Remember last week we were talking about how Apple wants to build their own chips again?
I remember.
Because again, that worked out so well for them the first time. PowerPC?
Hopefully they learned their lesson about doing it wrong.
Right?
Maybe they'll do it right.
PowerPC? What's a PowerPC? Anyway, ooh, you know what? Okay, actually, Joe better not flake out on me this week. That's what we should really do. I should set up the Mac Pro G5 in the workshop, and we should see if you could really use a Mac Pro G5 in 2018. My guess is this is going to fail spectacularly, but we'll see. I think that'd be... People would like to see that, possibly, I think. Would you? Would that be something you'd watch, Zach?
I don't know.
Watch us fail spectacularly as we try to run Flash on this. Oh, wait, we can't. Because it's a PowerPC, and, yeah, people don't make apps for the PowerPC anymore. Yeah. So, anyway.
Yep, pretty much.
Right?
I don't know why they would.
All right, rapid fire time real quick before we end the show for this week. Dubai is working on, excuse me, cool idea. I think it would look cool, but I don't necessarily see why. Dubai is going to be testing, get this, digital license plates.
I don't know. That sounds cool, I suppose, but
right?
I don't... Is there a problem with the ones that they have?
No. Okay, so the idea, I can see a few cool things. First, you have to, buy tags and stuff like that for your license plates and things. Because it's all electronic, you could link that to, the owner's, account or something like that, and then just pay for things electronically, and bada bing, bada boom, it gets updated, I guess. Kind of cool.
Okay.
They're also talking about possibly putting, GPS in them, which is a kind of a controversy, because then it, brings up the whole privacy thing. But, yeah, anyway. California apparently passed a bill in 2013 to start allowing the testing of digital license plates, which I guess they started rolling out earlier this year. So, interesting. I mean, I love tech. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love tech. But I feel like this is just kind of one of those ridiculous ideas.
That seems a little, pointless.
Right? Just like, okay, fine, it probably will look cool, but what's wrong with what we have now? They work. So, I don't know. I think, let's see if you agree with me, but I think you can take some things too far sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, cool idea. I think it would look awesome, but I don't think it's
it just seems like kind of pointless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they're doing it just to kind of do it. But yeah, you're right. I feel like it's pointless. I don't see the point behind it. Cool? Definitely. Yes. I think it's cool. Do I think it's practical? No. I think it's pointless, but whatever. So, anyway.
Yep.
I think here in Iowa we're getting like new license plates soon-ish. Actually, I think they've started rolling some of them out. I think I don't remember, but the current license plate design that we've had has been around for like ever, since like the 90s, I think, or something. So there's
sounds like in need of a bit of an update.
Yeah, so there's new ones that are rolling out. So anyway, you don't really use email all that often. I use my email.
I rather dislike it. Yes.
A lot. There's going to be some new updates coming to Gmail, new design. So, if you want a view that looks similar to what you have now, there is an option for that. I don't know if it'll look exactly the same, but it'll look pretty close. So, like the biggest thing is like they're adding like a calendar on the side, so you can like look at your calendar while you're writing an email and things like that. So interesting. We'll have to see. Sounds like that will be rolling out maybe in the next couple weeks or so, maybe, possibly. I'm not quite sure. Oh, and this is kind of an interesting idea. Everyone loves music for the most part, and streaming is the brand new thing right now. Now you can get Spotify and Hulu for just $12.99 a month, bundled together. So, unlimited commercial-free music, and then streaming with, yes, ads, but, I mean, okay, fine. $12.99 a month? That's actually not bad. You're saving like $4 if you bundle them together. So, now if you're a student, you can actually get Spotify for like $5 a month, and then that also comes bundled with the Hulu thing. So, because that's where it actually started, and now I guess they're deciding, oh, hey, let's expand it and actually, create a bigger partnership, and let's, have this be something that normal people can do. So, anyway, so kind of an interesting idea. So, yeah. All right, that's really all I have for this week. Unless Zach has anything else to add.
I'm good.
All righty. Well, with that being said, like I said, I don't have anything else for this week. Secure your passwords. Go do that. And if you have,
yeah, that would be good.
Your access, not your access points, your routers at home. Go secure those too, because that would be good. So anyway, all right. So with all that said, you can. I think I might have to actually bug Joe. I don't know if he uploaded last week's episode to the podcast server yet. I think he might have. Anyway, this one should be going up tomorrow-ish, I think. So you can listen on your iPhone. Oh, we still need to make a video on how to do that on your Android thing. Google it for now. Anyway, if you enjoyed the show, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Leave comments down below if it's more complicated than that. Get subscribed if you haven't done that already. Turn on the bell so you get notifications whenever we upload a new video. And we'll see you next week. Bye!